There's the chair back there. All right, so we're getting ready to do a lot of different stuff with the new Hustlers Kung Fu. Plus, one of the things I've done is put together an email list for the people who are interested in being mentored. So once I get all that ready, I can email you and let you know all of the details. So that link's below, plus how to get to the new Hustlers Kung Fu channel. All right, so we've done that. Let's get into this video. The apartment that I used to live in has gone through a lot of changes. And one of the changes is I've noticed is the staff that worked there. When I was moved in, there was 6 people, and the maintenance staff, 7. So they had a staff of about 14, right? Now that 14 has been whittled down to 4 people. And I know at one point there was a massive amount of evictions in the building, massive. The last time I was there, I counted, because it was a weekend, and I counted the number of guest parking spots, because normally when I moved in there, you couldn't get guest parking. There was 14 empty spots, and I went through the parking lot, and even though I didn't have a reserved parking spot, I pretty much could park in that spot whenever I wanted to, because the traffic was way, way down. And this is something that got me to do a little research, because I don't know how many people got evicted. I know a lot of people did get evicted, because you can tell when an eviction happens, because at one point they were putting this stuff in the parking lot, and then at the bottom of the building is this garage area where they store stuff and the trash people come pick up. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bins, and you would just see various stuff down there, and it was really, really heinous for a minute. I mean, like I said, it was a lot. I don't know. So this got me curious to go look across the country. And there's this one website that for 2023, there's been 1 million evictions in the 10 cities that they track. This website doesn't track all of the evictions in America. It didn't have California on there. It had New York on there, which is a high eviction city. And it had, it had certain things. And I was just sitting there like, it was really hard to get the number, but there was one website that was saying we're like trending toward 4 million evictions for 2023, which is a lot. Because typically, if I did my research correctly, there's like 1 million evictions per year. So the eviction rate has quadrupled, which is feeding into the homeless situation. One of the things that is happening with people being displaced, because an eviction is a horrible thing. It's really, really horrible. And I remember back in the day, they used to just literally go into your apartment and put your stuff on the front lawn. And I don't know if they still do that. I've not seen that, because the way that I understand it is the sheriff comes with a moving crew. And this is an additional cost for the eviction. And I'm not sure who pays for that moving crew to come get your stuff and pull it out. I don't think they put the stuff on the lawn anymore. What I think they do is they move it somewhere for storage. I'm not 100% sure. Not 100% sure. But right now, we have a ton of people who are being evicted. A ton. And this is going to reach a critical crisis that I see 2024. And one of the things that's going to happen is, with this vast number of people being evicted, with this vast number of people being thrown out, we're going to see something really, really different with our economy, because there was a report that came out where the economy was doing very well. And this report came out after all of these people were making these TikTok videos talking about how bad it was. This report came out. So 2024 is going to be a really interesting year in terms of evictions, people being thrown out. And it's going to be really, really sad, because, like I said, an eviction, that's a very rude awakening. And to come home and to not have a home and to have your stuff placed, because once again, I don't know where they put your stuff. In the building I used to live in, they would pull the stuff out and they would put it in the trash chute area. So if you didn't come get your stuff, I think the trash people picked it up, because I went down there and there was maybe 7 households down there, because it was packed. And then I had to go back down there to dump a box and it was empty. So I don't think that these people are coming to get their stuff. The way that they would do it in this building is they would put it in the trash area. And I do remember that week going down there, it was consistently full. I could say that week, 30 evictions that week. I don't know the total number, because I was just like, what's all this stuff down here? Because, I didn't understand what was down there. And this is when I began to see the furniture of people who were living in this building, which was really expensive. And I was just like, But evictions are rapidly rising. There is this place, in Arizona, Maricopa County, they evicted like 7,000 people. That was just one county, 7,000 in 1 month. And what you're going to find out, and this, once again, this thing, I had a lot of people dissenting on the van life video, but van life for a lot of people is going to become a very real thing. It's going to become a standard of living. It's going to become very, very, very pronounced. Van life will be. You're going to see something really, really different in America. But, this is not a pleasant topic, but the evictions that are happening in America are going to unprecedented levels. And then this makes me wonder, because one of the things that I would do is I track certain things on Zillow. I tracked what I call the failed Airbnb. This furnished house in a normal neighborhood where they want very expensive rent. $7,000 a month, $8,000 a month, $9,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $13,000 a month. And, when you get to above, let's say 6,000, actually, when you get above 6,000 times 12 is $72,000 a year in rent. The 80% of the country only makes $31,000 a year. So you can have a working couple combine their incomes, and household income is like $71,000. You got 2 people who can't afford these rents. So I know there's a market for people who can rent at that level. I know that, but that market's not that big. It's just not. And one of the things that I'm beginning to see is a bunch of people who have gotten used to that pandemic money. And that pandemic money, the enhanced unemployment, the PPP loan, the EIDL loan, and the stimulus payments, that's all gone. And a lot of people got addicted to that because with that money stopping and these people not working, it has created a big problem in the economy in terms of folks who are in the position to be evicted. And, you know, it has me thinking, like, if I was in a position to be evicted, I would just leave. I would just, you know, depending upon my situation, I would just get rid of stuff, sell it, give it away, put it in storage, get rid of as much of my stuff as possible. And I would find me a place where I could live cheaply, which would be the hood, which would be living somewhere kind of reckless. And I would just leave. I would not stay there and wait for the sheriff to knock on my door. But a lot of people do. A lot of people do. I can only imagine the pain, anguish, and terror that these folks are living at the moment, because the number of evictions are rapidly rising. And this makes me think, what is happening to apartment complexes and rental houses? And when I did this thing where the sheriff was behind, and the landlords of these people who have these properties, and this is one of the things, with the eviction process in the apartment, that's something they handled. So they had the staff to do that. The eviction process for a house to have people come and get stuff is very different. And at the moment, you have a lot of landlords who are stuck. And this is the thing. I know when I say landlords, everyone wants to think BlackRock and these big companies and stuff. And that's not the reality. The average landlord is maybe your neighbor, and they have 1 to 3 houses. That's the average landlord. And these people have these houses under leverage. So they got a house that they have someone living in that's not paying rent, and they got to pay that mortgage, they got to pay the property insurance, and they got to pay the property taxes. So you can get into the landlording business, and it, you know, and if you just have some bad renters, it can bankrupt you or create a situation where you may be able to maintain your household, but you may have some rental properties that if they're in the wrong area and they have the wrong renters, where these rental properties may get foreclosed upon, and that's going to go on your credit report. So it's a lot. It's a lot that's happening right now with this eviction crisis, because the eviction crisis feeds the homeless crisis. It feeds that. And it's just getting very bad. Now, I wasn't really doing economic reports during the last recession, so I don't have any of that information, because the same problems existed. I know there was like 10 million houses foreclosed on, and because the foreclosure process became so weighted that these people could live in these houses for months before anyone can get to them, or maybe a few years. So one of the things that I see with this crisis is, and I know this is me as a business person, but this crisis is going to create new opportunities for savvy business people. And one of the things I think is going to happen is the massive increase in house hacking. You got evicted from your house, you got evicted from your apartment, and then someone has a house hacking procedure where they'll charge you like $500 or $600 for a room. And once again, I don't know, because I don't house hack, but a lot of times these people are just renting a room and they're not doing a deep investigative report. So I feel that house hacking is going to boom. House hacking is going to explode, because when I was in London, I remember talking to one of the ladies that worked in the hotel, and she said she had like 5 roommates, including her. It was 6 people living wherever they lived. And this was London. And if you know anything, London is really, really expensive. So what you're going to see is a bunch of people living in an apartment or a house, and they're going to be house hacking. This is going to be a real thing. And for landlords who want to make some money, like if you have a house and you want to rent out the rooms, because I was in that situation and I don't remember asking a whole bunch of questions about, you know, if a person showed up with money, they got a room. And this is going to become a big, big thing. This is going to become super huge in this current economy, where you have people who are getting displaced due to evictions, and then they got to find some place to go. Because I was watching this episode of, I think it was on CBS, and it was talking about these people who got evicted, who moved to a hotel. And this is the thing, the people who are getting evicted, they had some issues where they fell behind on rent, but they had a job, so they had income coming in. And one of the things that I saw was the rising number of people living in hotels. And the, you know, hotel, for me, when I was renting cars, as soon as I found out the person was living in a hotel, I would get the car back, because it was just a matter of time before it would be late. It's just a matter of time. And one of the things that I saw with this whole nation, because this is going to create, like I said, you know, this is just, you know, for savvy landlords who have a house with 4 bedrooms that they're trying to rent out. I have seen some crazy prices. But if you can rent a room for $700 a month, I think that's going to be a growth opportunity. House hacking is going to be a growing opportunity. You're going to have a bunch of people living, and there was a place in California where they had these, I think they were lofts where people were living, where you pay like, I think $300 a month and you get a bed. You go in there and there's like a room with 1, 2, 3, 4 beds on this side, 4 beds, and you just get a bed in a little storage area, and that's all you get. And that's something that's going to be really different in the economy and doing these things. So we're gonna, like I said, in every crisis, there's an opportunity for the people who are in the position to execute on that opportunity. So house hacking is definitely going to become a big, big thing. Big thing, because with the number of people being evicted and displaced, they got to go somewhere. And I feel a lot of these people will house hack. Now, the situation gets tricky with the house hacking when you have a family. You know, renting a room to one person, that's pretty easy, but renting a room to a man, wife, and a child, that gets tricky. And that's one of the things I saw with these people, because that's what happens when you're in the hotel. You're just renting a room. Most of these hotels was just, you walk in, there's beds, there's a bathroom, TV, and a desk. That's kind of it. And these evictions, like, they have no mercy. They don't really care. And it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing. The evictions are just going to keep going nuts. The evictions are just going to be bananas. The evictions are just going to be dramatically high. And, you know, personally, I have no answers for this. I have no answers for this. This is a bigger issue than something I can think of, because I know that the number of people who are getting evicted, who are getting put out, who are having a serious situation at the moment is just getting worse, worse, and worse, and worse. And this is across the country. This is just not in the South. This is across the country. And like I said, I have no answers. I have no answers, because this is a huge, huge, huge problem. And I just don't know what else to even think about in this problem, because it's massive. It's massive. We have a massive thing that's going on with the economy. We have a massive crisis that's going on with people being evicted. And we have a increasing foreclosure rate. So I think 2024 is going to be very, very dark. I think 2024 is going to be a different kind of animal. But this isn't the first time this happened. All of this happened in the last recession. It's just we were not pinpointing, like I wasn't talking about it, so I don't really know. But I do know that this happened because with the foreclosure crisis, they talk about that. The foreclosure crisis went on for years. There was the houses in foreclosures for years. But I don't think the way that they're doing it now, that we're going to have 10 million houses foreclosed. I don't think that's going to happen. But we might have 4 million. And then once you start to look at all of the things that's happening with the failed Airbnbs, and let me just go ahead and say this. I've researched this. If everyone that had an Airbnb put their Airbnbs on the market, this would not change the real estate situation that much. It would give us more inventory, but the number of active Airbnbs, the number of people who own houses and are renting them out on a monthly basis or a yearly basis is substantially higher than the number of people who own Airbnbs. So I don't really think that, with the foreclosure crisis, foreclosure crisis, the eviction rate, the Airbnb, I do see more inventory on the market in the future, but this is not going to be enough, in my opinion, to cause a crash. Don't see it at all. But let me know your thoughts and opinions. Put them in the comments, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.